Hell no, it isn't. The reason Space Camp is great in Alabama, and it's better than the one in Houston and in Florida and in California. Why? Because I put them on TV, and 13% of America's population sees Space Camp ads that Space Camp couldn't pay for one of them. But we put them on our TV stations from Hawaii to Arizona to California to Florida, you name them, they've been there. And that's why people come for the trail, the golf trail. They're seeing ads. They see ads in our 100 newspapers that go from Massachusetts to Texas. They see ads every night on TV. If your sons or daughters go to Hawaii today, they'll see ads in Hawaii. They doesn't cost the taxpayer of Alabama a nickel, and we make a lot of money in the TV business, as Mr. Trump would say. The TV business is very rich. Rich. Yeah, I'm not rich. I know the bastard. He ain't worth anything. I assure you, if Mr. Trump was president, you wouldn't like it. That I can promise. But think of the impact of Alabama investments on Alabama. Very simply put, we generate $14 billion a year in just payroll to these jobs. People don't understand that there's 2,000 jobs in the hotels, just the 3 hotels in Mobile. All right? But the retirement system, since we pushed on this thing, has created about 282,000 jobs, according to Auburn. All right, enough about history. Talked too long probably already for some of you. But let me tell you about my confusion, since I have some board members telling me that I'm riding off into the sunset. That's probably at the end of a gun barrel, because they'll have to shoot me to get rid of me. But my confusion about Alabama is really 2 or 3 subjects. One of them is, I can't figure out, other than being a lawyer, I went to law school, all that stuff, and I can't figure out why our legislature loves to pass unconstitutional laws.
Hello. Yes.
The only thing I can think of is that we need more employment of lawyers. That's the only thing that I can think of, because it sure as hell doesn't do any good for the people of Alabama. My second confusion is probably even more basic. I've yet to figure out why Alabamians hate the federal government. I'm a Wall Street guy by nature. That's what I'm supposed to do. That's what I love. That's what I do. But if I give you $1 and you give me $3.28 back, I just soon do that trade all day with you. So I'll sit up here until hell freezes over, and I'll give every one of you $1, and each one of you give me $3.38, because that's what's happening with the federal government. You're one of the few states in America. One of the few states. Now, tell me logically how anybody who says, okay, I'm going to give it to you for free for 3 years, and you say, no, I don't want that old Obama insurance stuff, because golly, what would I do with $1.5 billion for 3 years for free? As I was arguing with him, I said, well, stop it after 3 years if you don't even want to put in your 10 cents. At least you got the benefit of it for 3 years. Oh, that's too hard to figure out. I'm sorry. One of the things that you have to remember, and you have talked about it, and your association has talked about it for years. We refuse in Alabama, my third confusion, is that we refuse to adequately fund education in the general fund of the state. We refuse to say, okay, we need money for prisons, we need money for mental health, we need money for state police, we need money for parks. It was very funny for me to watch just last night, Gerald Dow, who I've known for many years, Senator Gerald Dow. He was saying, people in Alabama don't care about prisons, mental health, state police, but they sure care about their parks. And I go, Well, that'll work. Let's just put everybody that's nuts and every crook in the parks, and there you want to work. I don't know what else you do. If you can't get them motivated to care about these things, if they're motivated about this, let's just move them all over there. See what happens. I don't think that'll work. But I want you to understand, and nobody cares in the state, but my last piece of confusion is that if we paid the same amount of taxes that people in Kentucky paid, Alabamians would have $2.6 billion more a year. If we paid the same amount of taxes as the people in Arkansas, not exactly high goals, in Arkansas here, we would have $2.9 billion. And if you think about it, you think about Mississippi. And we own TV stations in Biloxi, Hattiesburg, Jackson, Memphis, which is obviously in Tennessee, but goes into Mississippi. But if we paid the same amount of money as Mississippians paid per head, we'd have $2.7 billion more. Now, what I say to Alabamians is, look, you want football to be the best. Why won't you fund anything else to at least be normal? Let me talk about my third subject quickly, and that is what I see as threats. And this is the part that I said, if you remember anything, please remember this. In the olden days, threats to pension funds or insurance or to our health insurance basically came from a governor, a senator, or representative that didn't like us or was mad at us or something like this. And it was sort of a fleeting thing. They might be hot to trot on us for 3 months or 6 months or even a year, but generally they started to sift away and things could move on. But I want you to understand today. Today is totally different than if I was talking to you 5 or 10 years ago. Clearly totally different than 10 years ago. 5 years ago it started to start up. But there are 2 billionaire groups in this state, in this country, that are bad-mouthing public employees across a country. It's not just Alabama. It's California, it's Arizona, it's New York. And you got to know about these folks. One is, they're called the Koch brothers, but it's spelled K-O-C-H. So whenever I see them or anything, I call them Koch. Because that's the way it's pronounced in some places. But the Koch brothers are super conservative billionaires. They're out of Kansas. They own all kinds of industry companies. Very bright guys. Very Christian, very nice and like that, but they've got in their head, some way or another, they won't talk to anybody, but what they're doing is something I've never seen before. This is not like a politician's that will change courses in a few months as they hold their finger up and see the weather moving this way or that way. These guys are putting in real money to change policy. You got to understand that they actually went so far as to say, David, would you like to be the front man and we'll buy the Los Angeles Times and the Chicago Tribune, but we want editorial control. So you know what I said to that one. And so they are really out there doing this, and you have to understand that they are spending real money. Real money, not phony money, not, hey, I want to talk about it, or not like Trump on TV where, he hadn't put in anything yet. It's just all fun and games. But the Koch brothers are dead-ass serious. They intend to take away your pension. They intend to cut your health care. And I don't know why, because we've tried to talk to them and the other group in saying, why don't you focus on something that we all know is a problem called Social Security? Because that's a pay-as-you-go system. Why are you after pension funds that have real assets? But the second group that you need to know about is the Arnold Foundation. The Arnold Foundation The irony of this is beyond me, but the Arnold Foundation, he was a trader at Enron. And there's a few of you in here that will remember two big companies, Enron and WorldCom. Remember they both went under? And we were about the only ones in the United States, because everybody else, even that got some of their money back, 90%, which is really outstanding, we got the most back in the country because we sued both those companies ourselves. And we got back about 97, 98% of our money. But I mean, that's not the point. The point is the Arnold Foundation, it's a husband and wife deal, Laura and her husband there. He was a trader at Enron. He cost people in the world billions of dollars, put billions of dollars in his back pocket, and now what he's doing is going across the country buying different things. Let's send money to Troy University. Let's send money to different little organizations that are policies to change public pension funds. He wants, without a doubt, won't talk to anybody in the pension business, to change defined benefit programs to 401s. That's what he wants. You have to understand that. You have to understand that, for example, in Alabama, these are serious people that are after us. It's not like a politician like 5 or 10 years ago. These are serious people with real money. They have given $78,000 to something that some of you have never heard about called the Alabama Policy Institute. It's a group of conservative businessmen